All
What's
right, y'all.
up,
Good
y'all?
evening.
Happy
Welcome to a
Tuesday.
happy Tuesday.
What it is,
You
what it
tuned into a
is.
new I don't know what this is. Another meeting of free thinkers. I'm one of the hosts, Q. Also, that's Nikki right there. We got Denise right there. We about to have a good conversation. Remember, the usual stuff, like, share, follow if you haven't. Get on live with us. If you get on live, keep in mind that we do have adult content and adult language. Also, if you have headphones, make sure that you put them in. We have certain people who have a real pet peeve about sound bleeding into the
What's that noise
and
in the background?
and also you're welcome to get in anytime you want to. Just hop on in. You can catch the link. If you don't see the link, it's on the front of the Facebook page. If you're on YouTube, I don't know if it's on the
No,
YouTube
you have to
page
always go to the Facebook page and it is pinned at the very top every single Tuesday. So
every
always the
time.
link and the topic for the night and past videos are always pinned at the top of the Freethinkers Facebook page. So you can watch us on YouTube, but if you want to tap in and follow more
Right.
information, you have to join the Facebook page.
And if you're following on YouTube, send us a comment. Let us know. We can direct you either to the page or someone may be gracious enough to send you a link. But the link is always on the top of the Facebook page.
Yeah.
Facebook page.
Yep. So always on Facebook.
Like I said, we always enjoy, appreciate, invite your comments. So if you're not going to get on live with us, make sure that you comment. Let us know that you are here. Let us know that you're in the building. Let us know that you're listening. Give us feedback. Argue with us. Tell us when we're right. Tell us when we're wrong. Tell us your thoughts and opinions, and we will post it and engage in that dialogue as well. If you got to jump off early, no problem. We typically go 90 minutes. And like I said, if you get on a little late, then no problem at all. Just catch the conversation and then be ready to jump on in. Outside of that, did I miss anything? I'm ready to jump. Right
No,
on
just
in.
share, subscribe, share, subscribe. Keep hitting the like button. Keep hitting the love button. The more times that you
Activity.
give reactions to this, the better our algorithms look. And again, I say this every week. You know, we jumped off last week and we had, I think, 60, 65 or 60, 69 viewers or something. And we had no clue that y'all were here. So let us know that you're here. Hit the like, hit the love, say something in the comments, and just keep sharing. And we greatly appreciate y'all's support, for real. We really appreciate that. So nope, I'm ready. I done watched it 2 times already,
I
so I'm
did
ready to
too.
go. I got 4 pages of notes. I'm ready to
Okay.
go. We
I
all
said
got
that's what
notes.
Denise said. That's what I said. We all got a whole bunch of notes. So
I got
let
notes,
me
baby. I got
quarterback this
notes.
thing. This is how I want to quarterback this. All right. So, at first I was gonna do it one way, but I'm like, I think this is gonna be the best way. We're gonna go. First, I just want to get your thoughts on how you, without going into it, just what what you thought about the episode, and then we're gonna kind of go in chronological order. We're gonna talk about some of the things that we saw, observe, kind of, things that we
Good, because my
noticed.
notes are chronological order too.
Right,
So
that's why exactly saying okay, we all on the same page, and in between those, then we may throw in some we might step outside of the actual piece and ask
yeah.
some life parallel questions that were provoking as I watched it. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go down the line. Okay, so let's first, without
Well,
going
really
into
quickly,
it,
for
go
anybody
ahead.
who's just now watching us, we are literally going over season 4, episode
Yes.
4 of Black Mirror. It's called Hang the DJ. So whether you've watched it or not, you're still relevant and welcome to have this conversation with us.
Right.
But that's what we're doing this week and the next 3 weeks. So it's Black Mirror the next 3 weeks, but tonight is Hang the DJ.
Yep.
And can I say
go
this?
ahead. Absolutely.
The way that we run the show, like, you don't have to have seen the episode
Right.
to be able to enjoy this conversation we're going to have. You're
True
going to
that.
want to watch it after this conversation.
Right.
We're going to walk you through, what the episode was about, but it's more so the content that we are trying to unpack.
Okay, so before we jump in, and thank y'all for helping fill in them gaps. I'm jumping around a little bit. So before we actually go ahead, before we jump in, I just want to know what were your thoughts of that episode itself, just in general. Did you like it, dislike it? Did you think had bias in it, like just in general, without going into it, just what was your general. And I'll tell you this. Let me go first. Number one, a couple things I realized. Number one, I can be a softie for a good love story. Love stories done right. That's one thing that I realized from this. I realize, because a lot of men like, I don't like that sappy love stuff. But if it's done right and it's done, even though it was sci-fi, elements of it were still realistic. I don't like the fall in love, lovey-dovey romantic stuff. And when I'm looking at it, like that ain't real life. That's not real. But even though it wasn't real, it was real.
It was.
Oh, yeah.
And if you've ever done the dating apps, then you totally know that there is some truth to this.
I see where you're going with this already.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
And then I will say this, and then I kick it over to you, Nikki, and then we go to Denise. Even before I meant this is I don't know how many Black Mirrors y'all watch, but this has always been in my top 5 of Black Mirrors.
Okay.
Top 3 for you?
Okay.
I had to think about that. It's definitely in my top 5. Possibly. It could be possibly my top 3. Okay. Nikki, what are your general thoughts?
I was impressed. I can't say. I mean, I think I've seen all of season 1, so I'm not. Don't ask me right now if like where this falls on my favorites, because I don't know. But I was happy that this was the episode that we chose, because you've been trying to get me to watch this for a minute, and once I start a show, if I fall asleep and I go away, I don't come back to it. So it has been a minute for me to like come back to watching the show, and I'm glad that you suggested this one, because it absolutely caught my attention. And you could just, and as somebody who is single, who is dating, who is looking, who believes in love, who, is traditional, like all of these things, who bucks the system, been on dating apps, like there's so many pieces in this episode that are very parallel to real fucking life. And that's, and that's not even on a sci-fi tip. That's not on like a, this is what's coming in the future type tip. Like, this is happening now. So I liked it. I enjoyed it. It definitely caught me watching another couple episodes after that, but we're frozen in the house today, so ain't nobody going nowhere. So I definitely caught some more episodes.
Did you? I ain't gonna. I
didn't watch any of the other ones that you wanted just yet. No, I didn't. I wanted to get this one first, and then I'm gonna get into your other ones.
That's definitely my top 5, but I don't think we'd be able to discuss it though. Denise, what do you think?
I love it. Every time I think about Black Mirror, I think about this episode. I think about the episode with the memories I was telling you about, where you could watch someone else's memories.
Right.
I think about the very first episode with Daniel Kaluuya. That was the second.
That was the second episode.
Second episode, and I think about the episode with the politician.
Oh.
And the pig
episode.
Yeah,
is it the one with the pigs?
With the pig.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That wasn't my favorite, but it's a good talking piece.
Oh, that was deep.
That was a lot. God, that was a lot.
It was.
See, that's what has kind of that sometimes what kind of turns me off about Black Mirror is it's like frequent, like overt, like a lot of sexual stuff sometimes in some of their episodes. So I'm like, it's too much. I can only take so much of this, like in back-to-back episodes. But the pig one was a lot. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, it was intense. And so overall, I just really love this episode because I felt like this was such a good, like, metaphorical breakdown of what dating is like similar to how I think how I feel about Gone Girl, and how Gone Girl is just like a metaphor for a horrible marriage. Like, it's like, it's extreme, but also there's so many elements of that are, like Nikki said, so true. And especially right now. So I'm really excited to unpack this one. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time doing an overview since we've all watched it. If you haven't watched it, for the viewers, then just, some of this stuff going to miss you. Some of it's going to catch you.
Yeah.
So then, all right, we're going to start in Frank and Amy. They started off coming right into the restaurant. They had little to no awareness about who they were, what their own preferences is. Like, they was asking, what should we order? And they like, it's already been ordered for you. It's like, okay, well, exactly what do they know and what don't they know? And then it made me also question, is this something that they signed up for? And it's part of it. Like, if you signed up for it, do you lose part of your memory? Do you lose part of your conscience when you sign up for it? So that's part that I don't think we know, but it made me question that. And then I'll say, and then I'm gonna stop here and let y'all jump in. The first thing I noticed is that they had instant chemistry. Chemistry was instant.
Oh yeah.
It was so funny.
Which made me, I'm gonna ask a question. My question I'm gonna have after y'all jump in with your observations is that, do you believe that your right one should there be an automatic chemistry with someone who's supposed to be the right one? I'm gonna park that question for a second, but what were your observations? The initial meetup when they first met, what was your initial thoughts?
Denise, go ahead.
Definitely, you could see the chemistry, but you could see it was like a mutual chemistry, and you could see that, which, by the way, speaks to how great they are as actors, that they could even communicate something that subtle, but because it wasn't overkill. It wasn't like, oh my God, I'm just so into it. It was just like, I'm kind of vibing with this person, and
even though it's awkward, we're still gonna embrace the awkwardness.
Yeah, and that was really cool to see that they just felt comfortable with each other. So that was the first observation that I made with that, and that they were both very open to the idea of what they had signed up for, not signed up for, whatever it is. They were both very open to this, because it was both their first times doing this particular dating app. That's all I got.
Nikki, so you guys are both in the agreement that this is just a dating app, but very advanced dating app, pretty much.
I mean, you have to obviously sign up for it. So that means you agree to the terms of services. You realize that some people are going to be hit, some people are going to be missed. You realize that.
Okay.
I mean, it literally is parallel to any dating app today.
There was an indication that there may have been some sort of dystopia going on outside of this place. Just because the comments like, what were people doing before?
Yeah, you mean they had to go through relationships? They actually had to like have multiple partners? Like, organic dating was not something that they were familiar with. They had no idea what it was like to just meet somebody that you like off rip.
Or there could be some type of event that happened in life or society that makes it nearly impossible for you to find a person on the outside. And that's one of the things that I hear is a growing thing even now. Like, it's so hard to find people or whoever you're looking for. It's damn near impossible to find whatever your preference is nowadays, and you hear that sentiment growing.
You know what phrase they use that I absolutely love? Option paralysis.
Option paralysis. Right. You don't get to choose this. This is not an option for you.
Oh, I got some stuff. Yeah, I got some stuff to say about that too. Ooh. Okay, so let me jump in with this also. Oh, did you finish saying what you were saying?
I mean, that was really kind of, for me, my takeaway, I think. And then the rest of it was just filling in the blanks of the experiences of dating. And then, of course, the millions of different things that I noticed about it. But yeah, and I don't know, how much, I don't know where we're going to go, but I know that for me, we got an echo back there. What's up, Joe Bizzle?
Joe, you better get that echo out, Joe. Make some trouble.
Go get you. I know for me, as like somebody who's been on a dating app, who's done that shit, and who is currently in the dating world, like, it is as depressing as this episode made it seem, as the episode made it to be. It really is. It is like, my experience is, I only go on there like to read a message, because it's like going through a catalog of faces until somebody just sparks your interest, and by literally nothing but physical appearance first. So there was just so many parts of it where it was like you could feel the depressing nature, I feel like, of where relationship status is just in general, because everything is so fucking automated. Everything is so socially engineered. Everything is so algorithmically engineered. Like, And ironically, I was typing something on my phone. I was posting something, and I used the word compatible. And the minute that I posted this post and used the word compatible, the dating app that I'm on pops up a notification of, hey, don't forget to come on today, and da-da-da-da. And I was like, wow. So it made me think of the lady and the chiming, and we've already chosen your meal, and da-da-da-da. And I was like, damn it. So it's very parallel.
Okay, 2 quick questions. Then I'm gonna win. Then we're gonna move past this. But this is 2 questions based off the observation. Like I said, number 1, do you believe that you and your right one should have an automatic chemistry? Is that pretty much a necessity, or it just works the way it works?
I think you have to have chemistry.
Go ahead, Nikki.
I think you have to have chemistry. I think it is there. I do.
It should be there from the jump. You should feel that chemistry.
It just is. It's magnetic. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I agree. I think if you're going to spend
echoing, Joe. Just soon as you're ready to talk, just unmute yourself. I don't want to cut you off, but just unmute yourself whenever you're ready to. Yeah.
I totally agree with Nikki, because I feel like if we're thinking about like a lifetime partnership with someone, that chemistry, I feel like it has to be there, because it's something about the relationship should be second nature, because there's so many different phases you're going to go through. You're going to have kids, you're going to, grieve, you're going to, be with someone when they're broke, or, you're going to be with someone when they're depressed. And like, at least if you have that initial chemistry that y'all have with each other, you'll be able to connect in some way, even when things are kind of pulling you apart. So I definitely think chemistry is needs to be pretty immediate. Yeah.
Okay. Joe, you want to touch that real quick? If the person is the right one, should there be an automatic chemistry? Love, Dr. Joe. Uh-oh.
There we go.
I agree.
There we go.
I agree that there should be, but the caveat with that is that if one, if not both parties have already been through a lot, or if they haven't healed from the last relationship or situationship they were in, or it doesn't even have to be a relationship issue. If there is something that one or both parties are dealing with, they will let that block them from the blessing.
You know what I'm saying? My statements last week about dating.
I got something to say about that later on in this episode. I got something about that.
You will block.
Joe, turn your speakers down, Joe.
Matter of fact, that's a good idea. I'm so glad
you own the radio with the radio on right now.
Yeah.
Hold on now. You know, turn it on down.
Turn my headphones down.
Oh, it's better.
Okay.
Let me see. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
It's not about hearing you. It's like
we can hear
like
us.
a second delayed, and we hear ourselves too.
I'm trying to make these work, and I got to just go buy some USBs, like I've been saying I would. But I feel like I think that what'll happen is, and this is worse than being jaded about someone's real feelings towards you. If 2 people are really feeling each other, and there's something you don't like about that person, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? You will let that override how you feel and how much that person could actually benefit your life. Like I had an experience before with someone to where we had a really good spark going. The only thing this person didn't like about me is that I was about an inch shorter.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one thing. It got to the point to where she said, we were having a good conversation. This was years ago. We were having a good conversation. Everything was going great. We were hugged up on each other, and we stood up, and she said, damn, everything's cool until we stand next to each other.
Damn.
And if at first your response is like, oh, I'm gonna, you're gonna miss your blessing, or you know what I'm saying, you missed out on the real one. But and I'm like, with maturity, I'm like, no, you didn't. You did exactly what you were supposed to do.
Right.
Because it's not that you didn't feel anything for me. What's worse is that you did feel something for me. And if we could have been something, you may have blocked something that was way more profound to you. And I've been on the opposite side of that. I've had the two most profound relationships I have ever been in my life. And I mean women that I would still be with to this day if I was in the place mentally and emotionally that I am right now. If it wasn't for,
So a
if it
lot of
wasn't for that,
chemistry has to do with timing as well.
the timing
The
is a
timing
big
can,
thing.
the wrong
And,
timing can affect the chemistry in some instances.
and I won't disregard. I won't throw preference up under the bus or whatever, because like I always say, the only difference between us and the other animals is clothes and cuss words. You know what I'm saying? If I get with maturity, if I get passed on because everything else is great, it's just that one thing I don't like about Joe that has nothing to do with he is as a person. I can't fault a woman for shutting me down for that, for shutting me down as an option for that, because at the end of the day, we're all animals. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter how good I am on paper. If I don't do it for you on every single level,
okay, I got the gist
you
of the
can't be
question.
mad.
I got the gist of the question. You know, some circumstances can affect chemistry, so it's not automatic. I get that part. So let me. I'm gonna throw another quick question in before we move on to the next part of the thing. If there was a system like that would match you with the true love, but you don't really know what you have to go through, the system is not really going to tell you and explain how it works, would you give up your rights / freedom, Nikki, to find it?
No, and I questioned myself watching the whole episode, like,
Right.
would I do this if I knew for a fact that my forever after, happily ever after was going to be promised to me at the end of this rainbow? And all I could think about was the parts where it's Amy, right? Her name was Amy.
Yes.
All I could think about was just the constant parts of her having sex with all these other men, and how sex is not value. Sex is
I'm
not.
gonna say about that too. Yes.
So I mean, but also one of the things I wrote down in my notes is that a lot of what you saw them doing was the equivalent to today's society of jumping from relationship to relationship and not healing in between those relationships, going from one to the next to the next and so on. And so we're doing this to ourselves anyways. We're pulling the scab off on ourselves anyways in today's relationships. So no, I wouldn't give it up. I wouldn't sign up for that. I prefer to still do the old school. And if I don't find him, then I guess that was what my path was supposed to be, somewhere in here. I'm okay with that, but I don't think I would not give up my freedoms for a guaranteed win at the end. No,
a guarantee at the end. Okay, and that's what I kind of thought you would say that, Denise. Would
I
you?
thought about it too so much.
Would you sign on to something like that, Denise?
I go back and forth because, like, if I look at the timing with someone, like old girl and old boy when they had to do the year together.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my God. Yeah, we're gonna get to that in a second.
Like,
we're gonna get to that in a second. Yeah, go ahead.
Like if I met a cat on Hinge, and then we meet in person, and immediately I'm like, this ain't it. And then the app's like, but yeah, you got to do this for a year, and I already know it's not it. Like it would just drive me insane. It would drive me insane.
Again, I'm gonna go into it. The system said all of this is for a reason.
Over and over and over. Said that.
Exactly. I'm gonna get into that. In your mind, you thinking, it don't take me no year to know that this ain't the one. But what if there are other lessons that need to be learned in that process? And
that's what it was.
Part of it, the length of time is part of that lesson that needs to be learned. If you learned it, if you had a few days with this person, you like, that ain't the one, you might not learn the lesson.
Right.
The memory of what that feels like may not stick. Versus if now they know, like, oh, I've been through it and I know the difference, and I know definitely how to. So I'm gonna get into that in a second.
God, it was
okay. I have a question.
No,
okay, go ahead.
I wanted to double back off of something that Sweet Baby Joe said. How, like, when you're not healing, how it can mess with the chemistry. So or if you're not over the last situation. So, buddy, the second guy that she met,
I gotta hold on. I'm quarterbacking it. Let me get to it. I'm slow walking this thing down.
Okay,
Trust
take
me,
notes, Denise. Second dude, take notes. Second dude.
Second dude, yeah. Trust me, I got plenty of notes about all that stuff. We're gonna get to the second dude. So let me go here first. So now let's finish this date off, and then so one of my observations, I wonder if they were paired with the right person on purpose for the first date. Like, what would it look like if they were paired with the wrong people 2 or 3 times and then hit the right person?
Like they wanted them to be with the wrong people.
Right. But they set the standard first. Go ahead, Nikki.
Well, and that's a good point. They set the standard first, but they also didn't get to choose. They had a predestined expiration date. So even had they decided, you know what, fuck the rest of these dates, I want to go ahead and sign off the program. Let's get married today. Like they couldn't have walked out. So even though they only had 36 hours to be with each other and all these other dead ass relationships following,
Nikki, God gave me a sermon about that. I'm telling you, I got a whole revelation on that
one.
I
got notes.
The second time I watched it, I think I got more than the person who wrote it out of it. So okay, let me say this, and then y'all jump in. Okay, that was my first observation. I wondered why was their first paired with the right person. Now, it's also funny how 12 hours, they just gave him 12 hours. That was the shortest amount of time that they gave anybody.
All the dates. Nobody else. Every day was longer than that.
Right. And she was getting at least 36 hours on a lot of hers. But it's funny how 12 hours with the right person can leave a more lasting impression than being with someone for a year.
That's what they say.
Think about that. He was with her for 12 hours.
That's that chemistry.
The next girl, he was with her for a year, and he couldn't do nothing but stop. He couldn't stop thinking about the 12 hours.
She was dead as a fucking doorknob, though. Oh my god.
Okay.
I wondered if they were going to write suicide into this episode. To be completely honest, I did.
60 seconds. We're gonna touch on them in like 60 seconds. Now, the other thing that I noticed is, less is more. I was wondering, like, why so short? I think it had them focus on what was most important. So when you know your like every second counts.
Yeah.
So we gonna make it count. So that was another observation. Okay, this is just how I wrote this. And so then they also, and that's another life lesson where you choose quality over quantity. It wasn't about the amount of time, it's what are you doing with the time that you have. So I'm telling you, man, whole bunch of stuff. So I'm like, I see all kind of bars up in there. So that was interesting. And then this is just the way I viewed it. If you noticed, the first time that they were together, they didn't have sex. And it was literally the only time that they didn't have sex with any of the partners that they were with.
Interesting.
And I'm looking at, I said, this is what I wrote. I said, their first sex was holding hands. That was their first intimate, real intimate.
So they had intimacy. That was it. They had literally nothing but sex with other people.
The connection and at one
point, Frank and his girl were like, "Can we think of other people?" And they were like, "Yeah, totally fine." So, like, it was nothing but sex. It's desensitizing sex.
This is what I didn't catch until the second time I watched it today. The coach / computer told them sex was optional, so it wasn't like you had to have it. But they both chose to have sex with every other person that they met after that.
Oh, can we unpack that a little bit?
Go ahead.
Let's do it.
So when y'all just said the thing about the holding hands piece, I'm just realizing that she held hands with him on the first night, and every other partner she was with, she went to hold their hand to see if she could feel something with them. And she didn't.
Yes.
That connection wasn't there. The chemistry was not there. The sex.
And and I don't even want to go in for. We almost there, but I don't want to go in front. But you see the second guy she was with for 9 months. We unpack him, but just to touch on that, she tried to hold hands with him, and he immediately went to sex.
Yep.
She was like,
even before that, she tried to find an emotional connection with him. She cracked a joke in bed, tiki masala, and he was like, "What'd you say?"
Right.
And you could just tell the energy that he gave her was like, "Bitch, shut up." And she's like, "Oh, okay."
And I'm gonna get to that when we're gonna unpack him in a second.
Or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
I would have choked him in his fucking sleep. I would have been kicked out of the program for killing him.
What was you about to say, Joe? What you about to say?
You muted.
Unmute, Joe.
Okay, so number one, I'm laughing at Nikki because can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
So let me turn this echo down. I'm laughing at Nikki because, like I always say, all the real thugs I know wear sundresses. Number one, so I could definitely see, and that's why Nikki know exactly what I mean. You know what I'm saying? So I can just see you know what? Bam, catch a cab. In my opinion, we already date with one foot in the door. To quote the bard MJG, you don't want a man, you want somebody to play with, knowing it's impossible for you to stay with, not something real. And that's both of us. That's who we've been for a while. Before social media didn't turn us into this. And that's what Black Mirror demonstrated. It didn't turn us into that. It revealed and in a way enabled that darker part of our nature. Not darker part, that part of our nature to ignite. And I feel like they had to go through all of those people to each other originally with feet in the door, deny that connection. If they had tried for it right then everything they hadn't let go of yet, everything they hadn't phased through or burnt out of, every idiosyncrasy, every bit of anxiety, every regret towards past experiences, every bit of conditioned response had to be burned out of them by way of all those experiences to where it got to the point to where these jokers is climbing a gate to get to be together.
Hold on, Joe. Slow down. We slow walking this, Joe. We slow walking. We slow walking. And Joe, I agree with everything you say, and I'm gonna break it down verse by verse. On not only do I agree with you, I sat there and looked at it. But trust me. But hold on, we're gonna slow walk this though. Nikki? What are you saying? Jump in, Nikki.
Well, to Joe's point about whether they did or didn't climb a wall, did they? As we saw how it wrapped up, what the fuck was that? Did it happen? Did it not happen? So yeah, that's it.
I'll say this before I mute myself again. To Nikki's point, the thing is the fact that they went on together. Because you look at how Thelma and Louise ended. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. You could say, or did they? But we both know what happened. But at the end of the day,
y'all in the last 10 minutes. Let's go back. Let's go back to the beginning. Let me slow walk this. Let me put it back.
Take your time.
You revving up already, and we ain't made it through the introduction first points yet. That was Nikki's fault. She jumped all the way to the wall already, and we ain't even touched it.
Can we get to the thing I was gonna say? Because we're at that part of the section, right?
You talking about the front? Okay. Hold on. Just give me 30 seconds, and then we getting right to the second guy and the second girl.
Okay.
What else? Okay. So this was another observation that I noticed. The coach/computer, it wasn't lying. It kept telling the truth, even though it was saying it in a way that it didn't explain, and it was something that they didn't want to hear.
But
when you go back and listen, the computer wasn't. And one of the things that the computer said, it said, the system confirmed that they would have to go through loads of relationships to find the right person. So again, it's giving you the indication all of these Mr. and Mrs. Wrongs are necessary for your Mr. and Mrs. Right, which goes back to what Joe was saying. You can have Mr. or Mrs. Right in front of you, but if the timing is wrong, if you're not ready for it, then it still ends up being Mr. or Mrs. Wrong. Boy, you preaching. All right, let me get back to okay. So now we jumping into the second date, right?
Second date.
So Yeah, go ahead.
The thing that I first noticed about the second date is she was extremely physically attracted to him.
Yes, I got the same thing. You notice as soon as a guy walked in, ooh, let this be the one. It showed her superficial side to where, and I was like, oh, that must be something that need to get worked out of her.
She liked corny ass Frank. She liked him first. So I was like, oh, sis has no fucking template
That was
of
the
what she liked.
chemistry. But what she needed to get weeded out of her, because think about this. It was, and I don't want to get too far in front of it. At first, as soon as she seen him appealing to the eye, ooh, let him be the one. And she got excited, but it was his lack of personality and chemistry that ended up turning her off to him. But initially, the first time they had sex, she was into it. And okay, I ain't gonna go that far into it, but go ahead, Denise. What are you saying?
So, okay, the whole option where you have you're allowed to put what you consent to.
Right.
Just off of pure attraction to this man, she was like,
boop.
Consent.
Yeah. All
exactly.
of it.
Exactly.
Danger.
Exactly. That shows character flaws that you don't realize as a character flaw. And maybe it's not a character flaw when you single and doing you, but if the system is trying to help you calibrate your eyes to see the right things the way that you're supposed to,
come on,
you
Lord.
do need to get that up out of you. You gonna say something, Joe?
You know what I think about? I'm finna go full nerd on this real quick. I'm finna go full nerd about this. You think about the Matrix. You think about Neo, and then you think about Neo and Trinity's relation. You already know where I'm finna go with it. Buckle
I already
up.
got some Matrix parallels written down on this, dude. I'm telling you, I got some Matrix.
He didn't even want to believe he was the one in the beginning. He knew
Joe, I got it written down, sir.
And he went with it. So Oracle had to tell him, sorry, dude, it's not you. She said it's not you now because you weren't meant to be. It's not you because you don't want to be.
Hey,
I have that written down.
Trinity didn't even want to. From the moment Trinity met him in the club, the whole time she got her shades off, trying to be cool, not react to him, but like, he doing it for me, but nah, bro. I'm big and bad. I'm me by myself. There's nothing outside my, you know what I'm saying? There's nothing outside my zone. I'm in my zone right now. And then once she saw, she learned to embrace him on a different level, and so did Neo. At the end of the day, like y'all said, they each had to burn through what they thought they liked and wanted to get to what connected to them. Because nowadays dating, you know what dating is? You know what dating is? Dating is Golden Corral now.
Tuh.
You know what I'm saying?
I'd rather go to Golden Corral.
It's like, and I use it as an analogy for the same reason that I will never go to another Golden Corral again. But
I'm gonna go.
How many times have we hovered over the plate, or like a choose your own adventure novel? How many times have you seen people put their thumb in the page they just turned from in case they were wrong about the choice they made? Because when it's a real connection, when the love is real, you are resolute in your choice and in your decision. And that's why I love the way the episode ended like it did. Because even though you don't know
Joe,
if they made
keep
it
going
over
to the ending. Stop going to the ending.
I got a call
bad.
flag on the play. I got a call flag on the play.
Okay, go ahead, Denise.
I'm going to say the love can be real, but the timing can be wrong.
That's what I was referring to. Joe was talking about earlier.
Absolutely.
So
I'm gonna break this down like an old Baptist pastor. I'm telling you, I'm gonna break this one. I'm gonna break that down. I the second time I watched it, I was like, oh my goodness. But okay, let's go. And Joe, Joe, I literally wrote down the Matrix and exactly what you talked about. I'm gonna get to that in a second. Oh my God, that blows my mind that we had. And if you want to go deeper than that, then you can go to The Last Dragon with Bruce Leroy, with everybody telling him you the master. Until you see it for yourself, until you catch it, then it ain't gonna matter. But that's
hold on. I want to throw a little tidbit in there real quick though. To piggyback off the Matrix, if y'all seen the last Matrix, spoiler alert, and you find out Neo really wasn't the one, And it was Trinity who needed to sit in her truth and realize she was the one. They couldn't be together until she accepted who she was and she knew her worth. But I'm just saying.
It was the same thing. You're still saying what JB saying, because at the time, 1, 2, and 3, Neo was the one.
Yeah.
And he had to be the one, and couldn't nobody else do it for him. But in a different season, in a different time, then it did have to be Trinity. And what really kills it, and I've watched The Matrix as much or more than any other movie I've ever watched. And when he talked about the Oracle, sorry, you're not the one. It's so funny how stuff is right in front of your face. His name, and people probably got this before, I just caught it. His name is Neo, N-E-O. Change the letters around, O-N-E to 1. It's all in front of you all the time. But you just got to be willing to see it. And until you do, then that's when it's going to happen. But anyway, all right. So let's go to I'm getting so hyped up off of this. So now we're going back to Frank and Amy. They left each other, and she got 9 months with the guy. Let me show you my observations. And he got a year. Okay. Now, with her, the girl that he was with, she was the worst, and he was with her for a whole year. And it's bad when you looking at the time, and you know it's only been the first night, and you looking like, oh man, I still got 364 days left. Like, you counting the days down from all the way from the top. Okay. But this is what it showed. Number one, the girl number 2 that he was with, she didn't value the process. She wanted microwave results. Soon as he sat down, all right, come on, how much time? Let's see. Like, that was the first. She ain't even asked how he was doing. What's his name? She's like, you late? All right, let's see how much time we got. Like, that showed the difference between. And it reminded me of people who are in the dating game who also have that microwave mentality. Like, all right, are you the one or not? All right, what is it? What you like? How many kids you want? You want to, what is it? You know, and they trying to find out everything to find out, are you the one or not? So I can discard you. And if you ain't the one, I can discard you and not even have to think about you. And I see so many people in relationships nowadays, even on dating apps and stuff, they have that same mindset. And it's like, you shut down the possibility of finding anyone because your mindset is off.
He was shut down before they even got to, like, the minute he sat down, she already knew he was not what she was attracted to.
In the dating game, I see a lot of people who already shut the door before they say hello.
But if you are not physically attracted to some people, then it stops at that point for some people. And she was not physically attracted to him at all. You could tell, like, he could have been the sweetest person. Everything about her was cold and frigid. She's one of those people who probably should not be dating, honestly.
But that goes back to what the system is saying,
she was not concerned about anything organic at all. And she was not attracted to him at all.
The system said you're going to have to go through a lot of bad relationships, loads of relationships to find the right person.
And they did.
Take that mindset, but she's not learning the lesson in those relationships. When you just say, "Oh, you're not the one. Let me just pass the time."
Bingo.
I try to tell people, I'm like, even for the person who's not the right person, when I split up from my ex-wife and we were not together, I dated many people who I knew that I wouldn't be long-time relationship material. And from those people, I learned a lot of good stuff from them. Yeah. I learned a lot about myself. I learned even if they weren't my type, there were certain attributes and qualities like, when I find the right person, I want them to possess that. You learn about yourself. Like, even and a lot of women, they don't understand. Maybe he's not the right one, but you find someone who they ain't the right one, but you went out with them. And you just like the way they treated you, like the way they opened doors for you, like the certain things and you say, you know what, he ain't the one, but when I do find the right one, they need to do X, Y, and Z. Like that. You learn about yourself, learn about your likes and dislikes. You also learn about, even like what Joe was saying, actually get to have a conversation with somebody who may not be your type. And you might learn, you know what? Yeah, they don't have to be 6'4". Even if that's all you learn, that could have been what your lesson was in that encounter. But there's lessons all the time, and you may shut yourself off from so many lessons. And then you wonder why. Go back to what Joe said. Then when you do meet the right person, you're still incomplete because you haven't learned yourself, and then it's bad timing and it doesn't work. Anyway, I'm going too far off with that. But that was her. Any other observations about girl number 2 that was with Frank?
Not girl number 2, but guy number 2.
Okay, so let's get to guy number 2. Go ahead. I'll let you give us some observations about guy number 2.
So the thing that I noticed with guy number 2 is, yes, she had the immediate physical attraction, but because I think she felt that chemistry with Frank, as soon as the dude she was physically attracted to did anything remotely annoying,
yes, I noticed that
he was
too.
like, ew.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Like something that minute and that small. It's like, because
no, he was super fucking annoying, Denise. I literally wrote on my notes, fuck that. Like, I literally wrote all the exhaling, the guy with the exhaling. I just kept making X's around my notes because he was so obnoxious.
But Nikki, some of the goofy stuff that Frank was doing could be annoying to somebody else.
Obnoxious.
But some of the goofy stuff that Frank was doing could be annoying to a different person.
Oh, he was corny as shit. He was definitely not my type.
And that could be annoying to a certain person that you don't have that chemistry with.
Yeah, no, he was highly annoying. He just did shit that was a pompous, good-looking man thing. Like he does what good-looking pompous men do. They just do fucking annoying shit. Like he was that guy. I'm gonna go take a shower. Let's go ahead and get
5 relationships before. He was just going through the motions. He was also going through the motions. Yeah. He had an expectation of sex up front. He wasn't attentive. He didn't really ask her. He kind of asked in a casual way, but he was like, well, we should just go ahead and have it. Like there was no consideration of what she thought about it when he made that proposition. Like, so consideration was pretty much out the window. Yeah.
He wasn't looking for no happily ever after. He's not in that program to find his happily ever after. Nothing about him was love. Nothing about him was sincerity.
I think that was a lesson for her, though.
Sure.
You see how excited
she is. Because for him, it was just another girl to have sex with.
And immediately, and that's one of the things. Ooh, that's a question right here. Had she not had the 12 hours with Frank first to know what real compatibility looked like and real chemistry looked like, how long would she have played that role of ha 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 ha, ha everything you do is cute just because you're cute?
Right. Because those
12 hours gave her a different appetite for what she was looking for. And instinct gave her the initial reaction like, oh, he fine. But it didn't take long after that to where being fine ain't enough. And
not everything that looks good is worth more than a good look.
And you could tell even like over a short period, it didn't take long to where she was like, yeah, you're not that cute no more.
No, you're ugly. When your energy and your aura is ugly, you ugly too. Right. You know what I wondered? I guess so could they obviously not get pregnant? Because I was so afraid that second girl was gonna get pregnant by Frank and second dude was gonna get Amy pregnant, and then they were gonna be super stuck with each other. So if happily ever after was gonna happen, they were not going to get it because they were gonna stay with these people. But then obviously I would imagine pregnancy is not a part of the program, based on how it went at the end. Like, I wondered about that. I wonder if they would throw an unplanned pregnancy with the wrong person into the mix, because there is nothing worse than having the wrong partner in your life. So I wonder if they were going to throw that into it as well, which of course they didn't.
So this it was
just fucking just to fill the time, and that to me is so depressing and empty. It's so
Nikki,
empty.
I think you're missing it. If you think it's just to fill the time, then
it was because they knew it was going to expire at a certain time.
You didn't not catch the lesson though.
Well, you could still catch the lesson. I mean, there's still plenty of lessons to be learned in that. It's dead. Nikki, it's dead energy.
Nikki, how many times have you heard the phrase "I'm tired of being sick and tired"?
Oh, I grew up with that phrase.
But the point is, it wasn't just about something that you didn't like. The lesson was you had to go through it long enough. The length of it played a part in you saying, all right, we got to make some changes. I'm tired of being sick and tired. Because if something, you might just realize something up front. And see what happens is a lot of people don't learn a lesson and you keep going back into it. Like a lot of people, I know I did that.
Well,
I've
so
been in
you
a
know what I wrote down
relationship,
in my
and
notes?
then we break
Cute.
up, and then I get back with him. And when I get back with him, I'm like, why did I get back with him? It was the same. It's the same as what
This
it was.
is literally what I wrote down,
I
Q.
still got back with him like 3 more times. Cycle,
Oh.
yeah.
Over
That's
and
my
over
shit.
and over, just that repetition, sticking your fucking hand in the fire and wondering why is my hand
But
burning every
maybe
time I do
part
this.
of the process was I need the system needs you to sit in this long enough
Of
so
course.
that you have no more questions and that you know that this is not
Right.
what I want.
Ooh,
And
when
I'm gonna go there in a second. But go ahead, Denise. I'm gonna go somewhere else.
when y'all just said the cycle, and you got to go through this thing. If you notice, she kept on getting 36 hours,
That's
36
exactly
hours.
what I was about to say.
36 hours.
Yeah.
And listen, with these guys with the nice bodies and this and this and that, and they were breaking her of that cycle and that desire. And you notice by the time they got the like the light-skinned black guy who had a great body,
Yeah.
and she was like, you know, I'm past the physical element of attraction, or that being purely the thing. And they kept giving her the 36. So this is my question, Denise, Joe, and Nikki. What was the lesson to be learned? Because she kept getting these 36 hours. So it was almost like we need you to go ahead and keep getting your rocks off until you realize that
sex isn't value.
And for her, but think about that. For him, they gave him a full year with somebody who was, and this is the part I don't know. Like, what do you think the lesson was for hooking him up with girl number 2?
I don't know what the lesson was, but I can say that I have actively chosen to be in a relationship with someone I couldn't stand for way longer than a year. And have you ever been in the bed and looked over at this person while they're asleep and just cried because you're like, I gotta get out of this shit?
Damn.
You're like, I have chosen to do that. So when I was watching them and being like, this is insane, I'm like, but I've also done this myself with no program.
And no guarantee of happily ever after at the end of this motherfucker.
With no program.
Right.
And then get this. Have you ever looked over at somebody and just loved watching them sleep?
Yep. That is true.
But I don't know why he had to be in that year-long relationship. I don't.
And that's what there's certain things I don't know about that, but I believe the system was saying everything was for a reason. So
well,
I don't know.
To find some value system in that. He had to be with somebody who probably turned him off in every fucking way possible to know, like you said at the beginning, well, this is what I do want. Now I know. I mean, it's like any other bad relationship or good relationship. Right. We learn in those relationships who we are, what we want, what we don't want. You know, what pushes our boundaries, what doesn't push our boundaries. And I think that he probably had to be made absolutely miserable so that whenever happily ever after did come, he didn't fuck it up. And we see how it ended.
Maybe to give him some backbone as well. Because at first, like, she came off as a jerk from the first second.
Yeah, he was a pushover.
He kept trying. Yeah, and then by the time she's like, "Are you going?" He's like, I'm gonna keep on. You know, like, forget you. Like, you a jerk. Then why am I still trying to, make nice
you my representative instead of just being who I am?
Right. So that could have possibly been.
That should be hashtag though, Denise, because that's like every one of these relationships. How we are in the beginning, this, who I want you to think I am person versus who we really are after you get to know me type of shit. Like, absolutely. My representative versus who I really am. And just coming into it with this is who I am. Never my representative.
And then let me back up. Go ahead, Joe.
I think about well, long story short is like, number one, I definitely agree with everything y'all just said. And I think about old boy, and I think about the two of them, and you have two different sides of a spectrum. You have one person who had so many options, they wanted what they needed what they want instead of wanting what they needed. You know what I'm saying? And she had burned through the downside of having too many options and preferring things, because it feeds into you wanting being okay with face value. You don't really want value in a person. You just want something that makes your eyes happy in the meantime, because I don't really know what I want. So if you're gonna be in here, you might as well be distracting in some kind of way, make it worth my time. And that way I have an excuse when I get rid of you. And with old boy, he needed to learn how to be himself, because he settled. He was willing to settle. So they could have if you're with someone that's willing to settle, you can unleash onto that person, because you get to unleash upon them this person who's loving you, you don't love yourself, and how dare you see any value in me, and I don't like myself, so I'm gonna punish for even loving me. People settle. He needed to learn what it was like to want something of quality, because in her, he didn't see, when I say quality, I mean a connection. That's something that I'm going to see even when my eyes is gone. You know what I'm saying? I saw this older couple in their 80s or something on Facebook, a little video where they were away from each other a year during the quarantine. And when they saw each other, they just lost it. They couldn't get up out their wheelchairs, but they just instantly started crying. And it was right there. Becomes more than just that person that feels good laying next to me. When you're more than that person who listens to me all the time, that one person, when I wake up, I look to you. Even if you're not even in the same room, even if you're not even in the same town, as soon as I wake up, my heart looks to where you are. That feeling. That's what you fight for. That's what you fight for. That's what you don't settle for less than. Maybe, I mean, and it's all right if your physical preferences factor into it or whatever, because my thing is, I'm glad if that's it, because I don't want you upset because you ignored one thing. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because you couldn't be, I don't want you to not be able to be all in. Mm-hmm. You know,
right?
All cards on the table. So he needed to learn how to see value in himself, to hold his ground.
I'm gonna get to that,
needed
Joe.
to learn, okay, this is why it's just him. This is why it's just this person next to me.
Right. Sometimes you got to have your why. And let me say this real quick. One quick observation that I had before we move forward. When they were at the party and they were with their other people, Frank said, once he met the guy, he said, "Oh, you two look like you make a great team." And her face at that moment, she realized that she just had a different awareness that, yeah, looks ain't everything. Yeah, we probably look good together, but I've come to realize that ain't it. If you go back and look at that, when he said that, she was like, yeah, what does looks do for me? So that was just another, it seemed like it was more of a awareness to her. I got a quick side question, step out of it real quick. Based off some of the stuff that we saw with her, and we may get in, I think we kind of got into it already. Is it necessary for some people to be whored straight?
You know how I feel about sharing your body with people, so.
Now, I didn't say everybody, but I mean, for some people, is it necessary to be whored straight?
But to be whored out, like you're clearly a very sexually promiscuous person, right? Like that is an energy that you are giving away to a lot of different people.
Well, I didn't say whored out. I said whored straight.
Yeah, when you got
my focus is on something else.
To be whored out, you've been whored straight. Shit, to be whored straight, you've been whored out.
No, but my focus is on the end result of your whoring.
I don't know. I don't know. I guess
all of it out to where it's like, yeah, I've been there, done that. I'm good on all that. I don't need it anymore. Versus having themselves out, then they wouldn't have that mindset that they have.
That leaves I can only assume and imagine, and I'd be willing to put money on it. That leaves a hole in you to whore out, to be straight, to whore out in general, to just have, and that's not to say that having sex just because you want to have sex is a bad thing. I'm not saying that, but to have so much that to get you straight, I feel like the act of that leaves a hole in your spirit somewhere. I don't know if that can make you straight when it comes to sex again. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just asking. Denise.
I'm gonna tell a personal story here. Fuck it, we're being honest.
Sure.
That's what we do around here.
I don't even think it needs to be promiscuity that gets you straight, as so much it is just me having sex with this person where we are going nowhere together. It's like the hole was there prior to them.
Mm-hmm. That's why we fucking.
And that's why you're fucking them, and that's why you're dealing with someone who's not probably worth your time. And eventually you get sick and tired of being sick and tired because you're like, oh, this is not getting the job done. I still feel like shit.
Low vibrational.
So then you go, wait a minute, this isn't working. Let me stop doing this because I need to find something that works because this ain't it. So whether you have a whole bunch of partners or it's just that one who just ain't them, it will get you straight because you will get tired of feeling empty in a situation where you should be feeling full of love because you are giving yourself. You literally have someone inside of you. The only other person as a woman that will be inside of you is your child.
Right. Yeah.
And when you bring someone that close inside of you and they're not giving to you in a way that is going to fill you up, they are more so a hot and spicy from McDonald's versus a home cooked meal from your grandmother. But when you hungry, you're desperate.
Let me ask you a question, Denise.
Yes.
Based upon this episode, just strictly based upon this episode, because I think me and Nikki disagree on this. When the system/coach said everything that happens, every person we hook you up with, all of this stuff, there's a purpose behind it. Do you believe that all of it had a purpose behind it, or you think some of it was just BS that they was kind of toying with?
Oh, I think it's a purpose. 1000%.
Okay.
1000%.
So let's go back to my question again. When I said I wasn't saying it just to be saying it, I'm like, do you think some people need to be whored straight? Yes. Because they kept giving her these 36-hour periods, and when you look down at it, they threw all different type of men in there. They threw a girl in there.
Yeah,
like she had to have all like. So if everything was a purpose, then my conclusion came to not, and see, it ain't everybody because they didn't do that for him. They had two different cadences when it came to him and her. But it made me think, like, for her, if this is a purpose, this has to be necessary, even down to the woman. Like, she had to get all of that out in some type of way for her to really be able to move forward properly. And if not, then I mean, what do you think, Denise? If it was all for a purpose, then what was it?
I think maybe if she didn't have that, whatever it was that she was searching for that had her just wanting to just sex, maybe old buddy's time with old girl wouldn't have been a year, or whatever the timeline was. Like, not only do you got to get your situation together, but your person that you want to be with, they got to get their situation together. Everybody got to get it together. But at the end of the day, she chose for those 36 hours to go the way they did. It didn't have to go that way. But when she finally got tired of it going that way, then she stopped getting them 36 hours.
See? So then, so again, that speaks to something inside of her that needed to be fixed.
Yeah.
Joe, go ahead.
And that's what I was talking about earlier, how stuff needs to be burned out of you. You know what I'm saying? As far as love is concerned, the choices I'm making now at 48 are not the choices I made at 20, are not the choices I made at 30. You know what I'm saying?
40. 40.
Exactly. You know? Like if 48-year-old me was in charge of decision making when I was in high school, like I said, there are two women I'd still have been with to this day. No question, because as far as Joe's concerned, once I get chose, she can set her watch by me, quite frankly. And that's not to say I get too crazy now that I'm singular, but at the end of the day, it's like there are certain things in you, certain choices you have to see the value of or the lack of value in to know, okay, so my train of thought was off on that. Because I feel like even when dudes are in their young phase, and as soon as they get some attention from a woman, you know what I'm saying, they get to that bullheaded phase in their 20s. We're like, if I got her, then I can get her, and I can do this and that. And then one day you grow up and decide you don't want to try to catch the freak train. You know what I'm saying? You're all right, not trying to find yourself anywhere else or whatever. So your decisions, love or otherwise, they all get changed or affected. And real change doesn't make you a different person. It makes you more of yourself than who you are. You know what I'm saying? The person that loved you when you were 17 wasn't dating Q. They were dating Q in progress. The person that was dating you in 25, 26 wasn't dating Nikki. They were dating Nikki under construction. When you were 5 years ago, somebody wasn't dating you. They were dating you coming soon.
Oh yeah, you always gonna be dating a construction project.
Under construction,
and that's it. That's it. My thing is, you never really want the show to end. You never really want the show to end, and it's like you just.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
You have a good time. You have a good time while you here. You know what I'm saying? Because if
you
the
just made a
story's
good
enough,
segue
you ain't
for
gonna
me.
press fast. If the story's worth it, you ain't gonna. If the story's good enough, you're gonna stay in the story. You're gonna stay on the page instead of wondering how's it gonna end or how close are we to the end. You ain't watching time because you're living.
Okay, you gave me a good segue, so I'm gonna use the segue now. So after these experiences, now mind you, the guy only had the one experience for a year, and she had several experiences. Now, they meet back again, and they're excited, and they just like peas and carrots, like Forrest and Jenny said. They right back at it immediately. Just chemistry picked right back up, and they eyes lit up, and they were just so excited to see one another. And so this time, after picking up habits of checking the time because they were trying to pass the time with other people, when he said she said no, let's not look, let's not even look. Again, she was choosing quality over quantity. I don't know how much time we have, but I want to make sure that we make the time that we do have count. That was, I kept hearing that quality over quantity. Pay attention to the quality over quantity. And he agreed. And they shook hands on it. They made a promise, we not gonna check the time. Now, so now, mind you, at this point, they still never had sex with one another. So they're like, all right, hey, we don't know how much time we got, but we're about to make this quality time right here. We're going to get it in. And you could see immediately the connection was still there. And, she joked around with him. Then she couldn't take it no longer. She just jumped on. She was looking for the passion and intimacy that she had not received over that last year. And it was beautiful fireworks. They're holding hands, and immediately, I'm gonna let y'all jump in and give some more observations. Immediately the next day, they started to question the system. They're like, hold on now, this don't make no sense. Like, what's going on with this? I think this is all BS. This ain't, so now they questioning the validity of the system because their instincts are telling them this is the right person. This is the right person. But I'm going to go back to what Joe keeps saying, timing. I'm going to get to that in a second. But somebody else, give me some more observations about the second time that they met up.
Okay. Tell me if I'm jumping the gun about the agreement they made. Do we want to talk about how that agreement ended?
No, not yet. Not yet. We're going to get to that just right after that. Because, I'm right there. Ooh, I can't wait to get to that part. But, yeah, go.
Oh, something she mentioned whenever they had that conversation once they met up again. And she was saying, what if this whole thing is designed to wear you down?
That was her theory. That's they start talking about that.
So
Yep.
by the
That's
time
when
they
I
get
agreed
fun-
with her wholeheartedly. As somebody who's been on dating apps, that's literally what it does. It wears you the fuck down. I mean, whether you engage a little bit or you engage a lot, I just don't know how anybody can come away from a reasonable amount of time spent on an app that is trying to pair people up or find likenesses to algorithmically put you together with somebody and not get beat the fuck out by the constant losses, the constant disappointments, the constant expectations that don't get met. Like,
right.
So I wondered about that. Like, is this designed to wear you out? Is this designed to continue to further change the relationship dynamic that we have with people organically?
I'm waiting. Okay, I got a quick question before we get there because I'm so ready to get right there. Because the second time I watched this today, I got a whole new revelation on that, and Joe confirmed it a little bit earlier. But let me ask you
said
this.
a word.
We'll say what?
I said, Nikki, you said a word. I hope we about to unpack that more.
Say it again. Say it again.
Go ahead. You had your hand up. You were chomping at the bit.
Are we going to unpack what Nikki said even more?
About what? Say it again.
About how I feel like this translates into real life.
Oh yes.
Like
Yeah. We're gonna talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah, we just about to get to this. I got a quick question. We stepping outside of the episode again. Quick question. If you could know how much time, say you had a device, a little coach, and it would tell you how much time you had with your love, would you want to know? That's part A. Okay, Nikki saying no. Denise? Yes or no? I got like 3 parts to this question, so you can just give me a yes or no on that part.
I don't know.
Look, I also chose to not know what the sex of my first child was. I wanted it to be a complete surprise. So like I'm okay with the organicness and the authenticness of relationships, how things grow and how they end. I don't want to know when it's going to end. If it ends, it ends. When it ends, it ends. I don't want to know when it's going to end. It feels like every day is borrowed time. I don't want that.
Yeah.
I think I would go into a sabotage mode.
Inadvertently, how does it not? Everything that you do is going to be to try to make every fucking day be good or something, and you're going to spin your wheels and burn yourself out trying to be the best of the best every fucking day because on Tuesday it's going to be over. Like,
I think I would go the opposite.
Or you take the opposite. We ain't staying together, no. This ain't my forever, man. Forget it.
You see how he turned out on the last day? Like, god damn, bro.
So hold on a second, Joe.
Break up.
Joe, would you yes or no? Would you want to know?
I wouldn't
want to know. Okay, hold on. Stop right here. Okay, we got a no. Denise, you said maybe you wouldn't want to know this.
I'm still on the
fence. Okay. Well, maybe this may help give some.
What do you lean more towards, Denise? Knowing or not knowing? She's like, fuck, I don't know.
I really don't. I just know that if I know, I'm doing the most in the worst way.
Okay.
So I just
hold
know
on.
that.
Let me give a part 2. This is the part 2 to this question. If you had that computer / device readily available to you, do you think you could refrain from looking at it?
You see how we do our damn phones now.
But I'm saying, just like he got the option, push the button, then put your fingerprint in there, and I'm gonna tell you. But you saying I don't want to know, but it's right here. Could you know that the truth is right there and say, nope, I'm a pass it, and even a step further, would you have the strength to destroy such a device to where you don't have the ability to even look?
This is where discipline or lack of discipline comes into play. You either have it or you don't.
Okay, so your answer would be nope. I wouldn't. I haven't. No, let's say you had no, because that's too easy. Because destroying it, you can make an impulse and destroy it. You can't even destroy it. It has to be in vicinity with you. It's, you know, it just has to be there. Do you have the willpower not to push the button and find out?
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No, I don't.
catch me
I
on the
do.
right
I
day.
definitely am not. I'm okay with it. I'm not
We
pushing
just
no
fin-
buttons.
We just finished arguing. You on my damn nerves. I'm like, is this even worth it?
Or on the flip side,
I just want to say.
you in a feeling of euphoria, and you like, this is the best person I've ever known in my life. I don't want to be with nobody else.
Or that.
What if this is what if my time,
Right.
you know, what if we only got 4 days left and I don't know it?
Make every day
It's
count. Make every day count.
Right.
We're supposed to live like that anyways, making every day count.
right.
So think about people who like who say I don't celebrate Valentine's Day because every day is Valentine's Day. And I don't celebrate, such and such holidays because every day is, you know what I'm saying? Like it's the same thing. If every day is important, every day is relevant, and you treat every day like it could be the last.
It's not. So Nikki, let me give you a simple example.
That's very realistic.
It's not, but it's not, because you can't, you do not and cannot operate the same way depending on the amount of time. So let's say, for instance, I found out that, something happened and you're moving to Alaska in 7 days.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't had no intentions on seeing you within the next 7 days.
Right.
But now with this information, I might be around your house about every day for the next 7 days.
Well,
Where
so
you at?
that,
Oh
they-
no,
so
you're at the outlets. All right, I'm gonna come up to the outlets and find out where you. It's like you operate different based upon the disparity of time. It's
That's true, but that's the beauty of relationships. That's the beauty of what is my role in a relationship. That's the beauty of how much am I tending to my relationships. That's the beauty of maybe we should see each other within these 7 days. Why are we not seeing each other within these 7 days?
It is, but if I'm coming over your house like every day,
but
forever, then it's like, hold on, hey, give me some space, back up a little bit. Denise, go ahead.
I got a prime example of this shit, y'all.
Okay.
I was in college. I fell in love with this dude. It was one of those things. This be the story of my life where it don't be supposed to be that serious, and then everybody fall in love and everybody get hurt. But anyways, me and him started falling for each other. And then I was like, yeah, I'm about to transfer and go to another school. Soon as I told him that shit, everything changed.
How so?
He started pulling away from me. Soon as I told him that shit. And he straight up told me, I was like, well, how do you feel about this information? Because I told him, and then he was just silent. He didn't say anything. And then we did our thing. And then I asked him, I was like, well, how do you feel? And he was just like, well, for my own selfish reasons, I want you to stay, but I can't, ask you to stay. You got to go. So now
now he's bracing himself for the blow that he knows that's coming.
Yep. So when you know something like that, it definitely changes how you behave. One way or another, yeah.
You might try to get all the time you can, or you may try to, just let me start preparing myself ahead of time. It's different ways that people respond to it. So
the last woman I really loved, I was at a point in my life when I met her where I was getting ready to space away from people, just keep to myself, because there were some things I needed to deal with. I didn't want to be around anybody. I loved everybody in my life, all y'all, but I just didn't want to be around anybody for a while. And I had a feeling this person was only going to be around just for like a few days. We had just had something in common, we ran into each other, conversation, whatever. And that's going to be it. Let her just go. I'm used to people going in and out of my life. I'm at a point to where I believe you're here until you're not. And that helps brace me for when you do leave, whether or not you're taking, you know what I'm saying? That's the mode I'm at now. So it's like, so I didn't want to get attached to this person, much less develop any feelings for her. But one day, something had happened. I won't even go into that story, but something had happened. And suddenly, did I not only want this woman around me more often, even though everything about our situation told me that it wasn't sustainable, it wasn't possible, it probably won't even. There's probably some other don'ts to it too, but I didn't care how it was going to end, regardless of how much it was going to hurt me if we did have to part. I didn't care what it was going to cost me in the end. I just wanted right then, right now, my forever is this second and then the next. When I felt that, that's when I knew I love this woman.
Yeah.
So if it was me, I would take that clock and I would put it in the junk drawer with the screws and the pins that don't work and the bills that we're probably going to pay one day.
Yep.
And just like all those other things, it can do what it does on its own. I'll be just fine. When it's real, time is more than relative. It's non-existent.
Oh, okay. I got one last question to this. I'm gonna ask y'all this real quick. Now, throw it in the junk drawer, put it up. You don't look at it, whatever. Then the next thing you know, boom, alarm go off. You get notification. You got 2 hours, and y'all done. Would you be upset with yourself that if I would have looked, then if I had known how much time we had, maybe I wouldn't have been working overtime. Maybe I wouldn't have spent all my time working this job where I was kind of, wasn't using my time the wisest as I could have. Like, do you think you may have any type of regrets based upon if it suddenly came up on you and you wasn't prepared for it?
No.
Okay.
Because for the same reason I would have never looked at the damn thing in the first place. Because my thing is, of course, you'd be tempted to think that way, right? But again, when it's real, time doesn't exist. And you don't sit there wondering what you could have done more of, because wasting my time thinking about that that's time wasted.
Wasted time.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Wasted time.
Yep.
It's wasted time. So it's like, man, you got 2 hours. I should have went to the thing more. No, I did exactly what I needed to do, and I'm glad that I got to.
Oh, and I'm about to say something about that too. Oh my goodness!
I'm glad I know this person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead, Denise. That was good, Joe.
If I was not giving my all to the situation, I would have a ton of regret. No matter what. If I know I gave my all to it, if I know I wanted it with this person and I gave my all to it and I didn't hold back and I wasn't being reserved and I wasn't trying to protect myself and I was being completely open, when those 2 hours came, I would be like, I gave, I did, I tried, I loved. But if I was like holding back, I would feel some type of way and I would have some regret for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I think both sides. That makes sense. Okay, so we're gonna move on down, and then we in decent time. So now let me, and I'm gonna recap the theories, because I had these written down. Her theory, after they start politicking on why this system is stupid, like Denise said, she has a theory that the system is designed to wear you down so much that by the time they tell you who's the one, you willing to just go with it because you already kind of gave up hope and ambition, pretty much what she was saying. And she said, you settle. Ooh, that was a bar she said too. She said, you settle, then have to spend the rest of your life convincing yourself that you didn't.
Ooh, I wrote that one down too.
I was like, whoa, that's a bar right there. His theory is the system breaks you down by every thought that you have in your head. And that's the way, if the system works, it's really getting inside your head, your thoughts, your actions, your emotions, and it's breaking it down from that standpoint, if there is a reason for everything that goes on. So the funny thing is, they were both kind of on to something, even though they was politicking, they was both on to it to some degree. So curiosity got the best of him, and he checked anyway. He just went ahead and checked it.
He cheated.
His time went down. Follow me on this, Nikki. So the time went down from 5 years to 20 hours. This could be a sign that he wasn't ready. Because again, the system says everything happens for a reason. It could have been a punishment, but the system may have known that their relationship would not survive because of his disloyalty. Thus, it wasn't so much the time, because it kept saying recalibrating. It wasn't so much that the time was recalibrating, but the system needed to recalibrate their relationship and its trust so that it could be sustained when the time was right. Hard lesson that was necessary for long-term success. It kept saying recalibrate. No, we got to recalibrate because you ain't ready.
He lacked discipline.
And think about this. The first thing when he finally told her, like, what's wrong? She said, you promised me that you, she was like, why did you go against your word?
You broke it.
You broke your word. You didn't keep your loyalty. You cheated. Now, let me get to the deep part of this. Because of that broken trust, it prohibited, not only did it put a rift in their relationship, it prohibited them from seeing what they needed to see and actually prolong the process. Think about this. Because the moment it went from 5 years to 20 hours, he all in his feelings because he didn't effed up.
He fucking ruined the last time that they had.
Watch this, Nikki. Watch this. Watch this. So she at the pond. And she throwing the rocks. She like, it never skips more or less than 4. It's 4 every single time. This was a time she was picking up that this is simulation stuff. She was picking up on it. He would have picked up on it also with her, but he was so stuck in his feelings that he couldn't pay attention to it. So he threw it and it was 4. Yes, 4. Dang, how am I going to tell her that we only got a couple hours? He wasn't even focused on what was going on. So he missed the whole point right there. Then when he finally told her, she was so upset with his disloyalty because he messed up. Then he was like, man, forget this place. We could just go over the wall. They already getting the recipe on what they need to do right then. But since he messed up, put them out of whack, she can't hear what he trying to say. No, we can't do that. Where they both would have been on board with each other had they stayed in sync. But since he messed up, he couldn't hear what she was saying. She couldn't hear what he was saying. They needed to be recalibrated. That boy preaching.
That's a big fact. And you know what else it spoke to? That a lack of trust affects the longevity of a relationship.
Yes. And it shows how it comes out in every aspect. It doesn't have to be he didn't cheat on her physically. He didn't cheat on her emotionally. He didn't cheat on her with another woman, but he broke their fucking agreement. He broke their bond. He broke their rule. That was the only rule they had, and you broke it. So you might not be the person for me actually now. So hence this recalibration, because your level of fidelity in every way is now, I have to question you. So
that's why I go back to Joe when he talked about the timing.
Happily ever after. Yeah.
Joe was talking about timing. I'm like, see, that was the indicator that the timing, and they may have been able to speed up the process had they stayed in sync with one another.
This is what I wrote down when that was kind of like what I came to the conclusion of, is that when you cheat, you fuck shit up. And then underneath that is everything happens for a reason. So even in that shit happened for a reason.
Right.
His lack of discipline, his inability to, be committed to a commitment that he made. Like, and so it just kind of goes to show you, it's like he got the gimmies. You got the fucking gimmies. If you would have just sat down and had discipline and patience, this could have played itself out the way that you really wanted this to play itself out. Fuck around and find out, and he did.
And now even his idea, it wasn't out of a place of thoughtful, it was out of a place of desperation.
Sam was being selfish.
Also,
it was desperation, and now she can't trust you. You didn't keep your word, and now you just flopping all over the place trying to figure out something.
Now you want to
she can't get on board with you because she don't trust you.
Yeah.
You want to drag her into hopping the wall. You want to drag her into the unknown, and she was willing to go. In the
that's
name of love.
but the time, because eventually they did, but you can't do you with even the right stuff. You cannot do in the wrong timing.
Ooh,
Right. And expect to not have a damn lesson.
come
Exactly.
on, somebody.
You gonna learn. Everything happens for a reason.
Something else about what he did was, and this is something I've noticed. I'm pretty sure I did some shit like this before. But everything's going fine. Nothing's wrong. Actually, everything's great. And this is the time that
Scary.
you choose to go look at how much time you have left and self-sabotage this whole experience, which was going fine. There's something in that. The fact that you just can't be okay with things being okay.
Ooh, and some people are not okay with things being okay.
And
there has to
also,
be something wrong. There must be something wrong.
but
It can't
also,
just be this good.
right, Denise, what also happened was he went against their initial flow. Remember I said they chose quality over quantity. The moment he pushed that button and said, I need to know how long we got, and then he changed it and chose quantity over the quality.
Change the terms.
Changed the whole term and the dynamic of their relationship.
Yeah.
Big facts. Yeah.
Yeah. Just that quick. So simple how you can fuck some things up. And it like, so again, I go back to the statement that I made last week and that I've said many times before, like, and obviously they signed up for this program, but just because you sign up for program, just because you sign up to date, just because you put yourself out there to date, doesn't mean you should be dating. You're not ready. If you can't even stay committed to the word that you made with somebody, you don't need to be committed to anybody. You need to sit your fucking ass down somewhere and get you some stability, some security, some love of self, some boundaries, to try to figure out how can I make this work as opposed to sabotaging, whether it's subconscious, unsubconscious, it don't matter. If you are whole, you are not going to act and behave in a way in which you would sabotage something that is important. You just don't.
I think people do all the time, but you better understand that there are consequences.
There's levels to it. There's levels to it. But there's levels to it. But there's levels to it. But people who are important and valuable to you, you treat with certain gloves. You just do. There's just things you just don't do. Because there's things that you do that you can never undo. So you just don't do those things because you don't have to. And he did exactly what he wasn't supposed to do. He cheated. He fucked it up. He ruined it.
Yeah, he really did.
Or did he ruin it? Or was that how it was supposed to go? Did they both learn their lesson? More pain? Was it lessons over losses? Well,
that's one of the things. I guess you wasn't sick and tired of being sick and tired.
must not been. Let me put my hand in the fire one more time.
Then you gonna go back through the cycle again.
I think about talking about the lessons each of them needed to learn, right? When they had, like when I mentioned how he had settled before and he needed to realize why he didn't need to settle for less than what he really wanted, and he won that, but there was still, I'm thinking that there still was that one more thing he had to learn, and that was the risks and benefits of, risk itself and how to temper it, because he'd never taken a risk before. So he takes a risk and looks at the time and sees and realizes he broke his word, whatever, blah, 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 sees the disappointment in her face and learns, okay, clearly I need to get better at taking risks. And then he considers the wall. Now, granted, you know
exactly.
What I'm saying? Okay, I fucked up, but if I'm gonna take a risk, let me take a better one this time.
And we're gonna take a risk together instead of me taking a risk on my own, solo.
And the minute they both said yes,
agreement.
Because how many times have you been willing to love someone, regardless, not only regardless of the wrong choices they made, but stand with them in their wrong, just not because you agree with them or whatever, but just because you need someone in your life that knows you're not a complete piece of shit for the choice you just made.
Right.
I'm not agreeing with you, but I'm gonna be here with you throughout it. You know what I'm saying? Right. So he needed to earn her love on that level.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because when someone stands with you in that, they help you learn the value of making the right choice the next time around.
Right. Now I had another, this was just a general observation of Amy overall. It seems like much of her issue was around sex. Seems like she had a problem feeling anything with people she didn't connect with. And it appears that
Ain't nothing wrong with
the
that.
only common connection is sex. Like, even go back to guy number 2. She tried to make a joke with him up front, and when it didn't work, you would see her she just closed down. Like, she would close down, and all of her sexual experiences, even from that first time, was pretty closed off. And then my other observation, even after, they messed up and they, got separated again, Frank started going through the motions with his girl number 3. She was cool, had a conversation. She seemed like she was probably going through a similar situation herself, because he was like, "Can I think about her?" He was like, "As long as I can think about him." But it was just funny that even after all this, the sex don't stop. Ain't neither one of them stop having sex at all. Both of them. So that's what I'm like, look, I guess at the end of the day, they're going to get it for whatever reason.
But it was always used to fill some sort of hole.
Literally. I was just going to say, let's talk about the sex. Let's talk about dead end sex. Let's talk about void, dead end, hole, not filling sex. No pun intended. Like, dead end sex is just fucking just to be fucking. And I think that people who are having repetitious dead end sex are looking for something that ain't sex. And they're just taking whatever because it's like drugs and alcohol. It numbs how you feel. It feels good for a little bit. I can take my mind off of certain things. There's obviously endorphins and everything else that's happening in the body when it's happening. So you feel good temporarily. But do you when it's over? For how long? And if you're doing it again and again and again, and next person and next person and next person and next person and next person. So that goes back to like the whoring out to be straight comment. Like, there's a void that ends up just being there. And maybe it doesn't get any bigger. Maybe you're able to contain that. Maybe you're okay with the situations being what they were that got you there. But that don't do it for most people. And I applaud people who can just have no strings attached sex. I know I am not one of those people. So I'm very, very conscientious and cautious about my body count and who I lay down with.
Well, let me, this is another observation. And y'all kind of just brought this to me to just confirm what y'all saying. Think about this. Someone that she really has feelings for, and this is the second time they went back on their date after the second time. Somebody she really has feelings for. In the first minute, she was talking about her boring sexual encounters. Like, who would you just talk about? The sex meant so little to her that she didn't even think nothing of it to tell him about it because it was so meaningless to her.
That kind of weirded me out.
I literally stepped outside of my body and just looked at the whole experience, and he was like, "Yeah, oh, that's something different." But
do you feel
normally
like
you wouldn't come out and say those type of things, but it's like it really didn't mean anything to me.
But do you feel like because they'd had so many meaningless or maybe empty relationships in between first date and that you get your 2 hours to say goodbye to whoever, do you like even their reception? But their reception of each other when they saw each other was totally different, and it wasn't lackluster, but it was like just the conversation over the table about how much sex they've been having and how meaningless it was, and it just felt so desensitized at that moment to me. I mean, it obviously they picked up whatever their connection was, but it seemed very, very it just seemed like it had zero value when they were talking about it at that moment.
And that's what I was saying.
Made me sad. I was like, oh, they had like a hell of a connection, and now it's like it was gone there for a second.
You know what I think? I don't think it was gone as so much like with something that she said. I think she mentioned something about being detached. And like I think it just took her a while to just being so detached because you're with all these people to be like, oh wait, I'm safe here with this person.
Right.
And even that I felt like is what made her feel comfortable just being like, yo, I've been out here wilding. Like I'm just like, you know what it is? It's crazy.
Because I haven't had anyone to have these conversations with. So you about to
Yes,
get it all.
yes.
You about to get everything in the, because you are my safe place, you my connection. So, you're gonna get the good, bad, ugly, everything in between.
And it didn't change how he looked at her.
Right.
No, it didn't.
Yeah.
Nope.
Or did it?
No.
Oh
Mm-mm.
no.
I don't think it did at all.
Oh, can we get into this? Because we've talked a lot about sex, but I feel like the responsible thing to do here is we do have to talk about sexual compatibility and the role that plays in a long-term relationship.
That's gonna go a long time.
Okay, or we
No, it ain't.
Definitely.
It better be there.
I got a 10%. I got a 10%
Look,
rule.
that's it.
I told you my 10% rule already, didn't I, Denise?
Was it the if you don't want to masturbate to this person is a hard pass?
No, that ain't it, but that's a good one. That is a good one. No.
That's one of yours. That's one of yours.
I know, that's what I'm saying. That's a good one. That's a good one. No, my 10% rule is, however many sexual partners that you have, whatever your body count is, I don't know if y'all like that word or not, the person that you're with or that you are married to needs to be in the top 10 percentile.
Oh hell yeah!
If your body count is 30, they need to be in the top 3.
Absolutely agree, 100%.
You can't have a body count of 20 and then they like number 16 on the list.
No,
not gonna work.
No, oh no. There's no way you. No,
that's my 10% rule.
No. Do you even have chemistry if you're at the bottom fucking 30? Like, no.
You can't have sexual chemistry. I don't think so. I don't
know if you can have chemistry. You can have but I don't know if you have sparks. You just like them because they're secure. You like them because they have money. You like them because they have the things that you like. But you cannot have a spark for somebody that is not your top 10% of your sexual partners. Good God, no. You won't be thinking about everybody else but them.
Yeah. I'm just saying, can you feel something for them as well? See, okay, but let me say this though. You can feel something for a person and never have had sex with them. So it don't have to be the sex part. But now once you have the sex and the sex that don't match, then that may say something else. Instincts are telling you that this might not be the person regardless of how you feel.
Now here's the question.
Okay.
Oh, I'm trying not to rabbit hole this, but how long?
Yeah, I'm going to pull us out the rabbit hole
before you're like, oh, the compatibility simply is not there. Because
you mean sex-wise, how long?
Should sexual chemistry be similar to regular chemistry where you feel like right off the bat?
Nah, I wouldn't say so. I think there should be potential there, but a lot of sex can be tricky sometimes because even if a person can be comfortable with you on certain levels, but not with other levels. And every person, even if they are comfortable with you on a conversational, spiritual, emotional level, that don't mean that they will be comfortable immediately on a sexual level. Okay. Now, with that being said, it don't mean it should be D-. Like if it's D-, then I don't know how you're gonna get to A from a D-.
You're not. There won't be another time.
You can go from a C+ and be like, oh, it's definitely potential. I just got to get them to loosen up. We just got to, get on each other's level.
Right.
No.
But if it's
conversation rule the nation, baby. You know what I'm saying?
It's not like to know people before I decide to have sex with them. And I don't mean I gotta be all up into you, but I have to know that we vibe. And if we don't vibe, I will never, ever care to find out what you're like in bed. I'm not gonna, you don't get to have this if we don't vibe. I'm not gonna waste my count or my mileage on something that I have no vibe with.
I agree with that static.
So it's hella important.
Most married, not because the sex was the top 10. But they got pregnant. Man, you stuck with
it. If you get somebody pregnant and they not in your top 10%, Lord help when you was with the top 10%.
Tough.
No, I think the sexual chemistry is just as important as that initial chemistry. I think
the sexual chemistry is just as important in my view. But I don't think if you're talking about how instant should it be, I don't think it's not always instant.
Yeah,
like an immediate, like the comparison we gave to soon as they met each other, then they just hit it off right then. It's not always going to be the case with sex.
Yeah. Because you got to learn a person's body and they got to learn yours. That's the other
yes, that's true. But if you know enough about what you're doing,
it ain't just sex.
You
ain't
know
a,
what-
sex ain't a solo dance.
it is a dance, but I don't know.
It ain't a solo dance.
You're either a professional in it, I guess, or you're not a professional in it. And I'm not proclaiming to be a professional by any fucking means.
With that.
But there is a chemistry and there's an energy that happens. And even if the sex itself isn't maybe like, maybe he or she didn't last as long, or maybe he or she didn't do like a certain thing that you like or whatever. But did they check off all the other boxes? Was it still good? Do you know there's potential for it to be better? Or was it just lackluster and a dud? That is your body telling you we don't mix. We don't blend well. We don't. Because my body and your body together should be blowing the fuck up. That's how we should be. Whether you are a one-night stand or you are my forever. Like, we should still be able to blow the fuck up, because energy doesn't lie. It just doesn't. But again, I'm funny about,
you're not a casual sex
count.
haver, so you can't, you somewhat disqualified from saying that, because you are going to have more of a connection on other levels than you would just sex before you have it. So you can't say the sex, you should automatically have a connection, because what you're actually saying, you're not actually referring to just sex. You're referring to sex in corporation with the other elements that you are also connected to.
Right, but even if you got a one-night stand, you still have to have a connection with them before you get to the part of, we're actually gonna sleep with each other tonight. No, you still have to. You don't just walk up to somebody like, "Hey, let's have sex tonight."
I'm telling you, you don't.
I mean, that's a weird ass situation. I've never had a one-night stand with somebody.
That's what I'm saying.
I didn't engage in a conversation before to know if we had some energy going
you're
back
partly
and forth.
Disqualified from the pure sex chemistry conversation, because it is because you don't have straight sex. You don't have straight sex, absent of no other element.
Yes, I do.
You just said, well, based off what you're saying,
there still has to be a vibe. You can. The vibe is there within 5 minutes of meeting somebody. The vibe is there within 15 minutes of meeting somebody. The vibe is there within 30 minutes of meeting somebody. The vibe is there, or it's not. And if it's not, the sex is usually going to mirror that. If it is, the sex is usually going to mirror that. I've had some phenomenal no strings attached sex. Absolutely phenomenal, because there was just a connection there. I don't want a relationship with these people. I'm not interested in having a relationship with these people. But there had to have been a connection in order for me to even think that we was going to lay down. Like, gotta be.
There's slightly different elements to that.
So you've never had bad sex?
No.
You've never had okay sex?
I've had one partner who was selfish sometimes, and
that's bad sex to me.
I've had bad sex.
Has been selfish sometimes, but has corrected it, right? Like, absolutely corrected that action, because we had a conversation about it. But for the most part, no, I don't. And me and my girls talk about this quite a bit. They're like, "Bitch, you're just lucky." And I'm like, well, I don't know if it's so much that. I go off of energy. If the energy is not right, I don't even need to waste my time to know what it's like, because I don't care. The energy is not there. If the energy is like, oh shit, what this do? I'm gonna find out. And generally, it's great. It's good.
I feel like I'm one of those people. I've tried to do a cash thing, and I just it's like my body is numb to something that doesn't have an emotional connection. So the sex itself could be good, like the physical act of it could be some like crazy wild shit, but my body is just going to be like a little desensitized. Like it's like someone trying to tickle you and you just don't get tickled. Like, if I don't have emotions there, it just doesn't give. Like, I can't explain it. And it can be good, but it just doesn't feel the same.
But that's where you have to know that's where you have to know the difference between no strings attached and strings attached.
But even with no strings attached, if I don't have a string attached, it don't feel good to me. Like
Does that
physically,
does that
it's
string have to be an emotional connection, or can it just be a vibe
Oh,
of
yes.
interest? Could it be a vibe
No.
of interest?
no, I gotta be feeling emotional
That's
about this
okay,
shit.
and that's my preference, Denise. My preference is to like the person, right, that I'm sleeping
Mhm.
with. But in the aspect of being able to have very good, no strings attached, it's very fucking possible. It's not my preference, so I don't do a lot of that. That's not. I don't.
But no
Like,
strings
I don't
attached
need
and
that.
one night stand are two totally different things.
No, they can be the same.
But they can be totally different too.
Right, but they can't be the same. Yes, they can be different. They can be the same.
Well, yeah, in most cases, a one night
with it.
stand is going to be no strings attached, but no strings
Absolutely.
attached doesn't have to have anything to do with a one night stand.
Oh, I need a string attached.
Yeah, with a one night stand, based on the circumstances, there's a possibility it could go on, or there could be complications given the connection between the two people. But no strings attached is a consistent agreement across the board.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? No strings. We're doing this because it won't lead us anywhere else. We just want
Right.
this heat.
We
Exactly.
Good. See you
enjoy
later.
having sex with each other.
And what's funny is that the few times that I've engaged casually, each time it was suggested to me, and when it was, I would get the whole player speech. You know what I'm saying? Hey, this is just a thing. It's not just you. You know what I'm saying? There are others, baby. When we see each other on the street, don't act funny, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's great. Don't threaten me with a good time. And then as soon as something happens, that it'll happen but somewhere between the second and third time we get down, it'll start to happen. I'll hear a pet name, or I'll get a lingering hug or whatever, or my favorite, the why didn't you call me? Where the accountability vibe. That and what it is that when people that level of detachment, to say that you want that and this and that's that, it's not impossible. It's just that it costs you too much in a way I can't really articulate right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? To where, and like I said, every time it got casual, like I said, it was offered to me, and it's nothing I was looking for, but nothing I said no to. But once deep down, they wanted something more than that. They just wanted to be able to have an excuse to jump out. I really want something, but this time around, you didn't connect it with someone who's like, hey, actually, this is kind of nice. I can keep this one a little longer. I can stay with this one. But it's too late because you've already made it clear to this one that this was a no strings attached agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And now things are awkward because you just realized what it cost you. You realize what you missed, what you've been sacrificing, instead of forming a connection with somebody.
Well, that's the risk that's involved when you lay down with somebody, whether it's no strings attached, one night stand, strings attached. That's the risk that's involved with sharing your body, sharing your energy, transferring energy, all that.
Okay, so let me come out the rabbit hole real quick. We're gonna close this off, and then we can go from there. So she's after all this stuff that went down, they on my own. They back up.
Once again.
So this is Michael McDonald is that dude. Though. I don't care what nobody says.
How old were you when you found out he was white, though?
He that dude. There's certain people. He part of the man. Michael McDonald, that dude. Okay, so she back at the pond again. Throw the rock. 4 skips. She like, there it go again. She's starting, as soon as she's starting to really see the lines, because now her mind is clear. She ain't trying to convince nobody. She ain't trying to figure out stuff. She looking at it. This skip 4 times again. As soon as she noticed that, immediately the machine tells her she's met her match. Is that a coincidence? Like another distraction to get your mind off of what you just saw again. So, and then on top of that, then it tells her you get to choose one person to meet before you find the person for good. And she's like, I want Frank. So I had questions. I don't know, but I had questions about that. I'm like, the timing was real weird. It's like, it's one of those things where it's trying to distract you, and it could be a test to see, are you willing to allow certain things to keep distracting you from what it is that you want to see, or what it is that you need to see. And at that point, it wasn't distracting her, because at that moment she like, I want to meet Frank. She was already ready. She ready. She like, nah. I already know what I'm about to do. And that's why before she left the pool, she was like, all right, coach, count to 4. I'm done with you. Threw the coach in the water. And I think that goes back to the whole Last Dragon Bruce Leroy thing. She sees things for what it is. So these are just some of my observations. If you are willing to follow a system or expectations over your heart and your instinct, then you're not ready. They kept saying, well, no, the system said this, or no, this is this and this and all. No, look at the guy standing over there looking all mean. The moment you say, no, F all that. I know what I want. I know what's real. If you're not willing to do that, then you're not ready. So then, yeah. So
I know what I want. I know what's real.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Now, once they met, and this is fun. I think this is I wonder if this was on purpose or not. But as soon as they met, they checked the time. They had 90 seconds. I wondered, I'm like, why just 90 seconds? I think the system was forcing them to use their heart and their instincts at that moment. I'm not going to give you enough time to think yourself out of it or try to think around it. What do you want? What is your gut telling you right now? You got 90 seconds. And they're like, no, F all this. This ain't real. I feel like I've known you my whole life. We've been through this before. All of this is fake. And see, this is the funny part. They started saying all the same things that they were saying before, but now they could hear each other because they was back on the same page. They said the same thing. This ain't real. This is fake. Once we buck the system, then this is our way. This is the test. This is our way out of it. And once they acknowledged that, then that was it. And then once they got up, as soon as they got up and they made their mind up, they made a decision, and everything else stopped and froze. And that's another, I thought that was another symbolism, once you really connect with that one that you're supposed to be, everything else around you, there's no more outside circumstances that's going to matter to you. It's just them two.
Yep.
So, and then at that, then the stimulation ended. And then that's those outside forces stop being real when you see it for what it is. It's like what Denise just said. So, yeah. So that was my thoughts. Anybody have any thoughts about the final part of it, about them exiting?
Yeah, I'm with you on that whole me and you against the world kind of thing. It's just like, I know it's real. This is not real. I'm not going to let what society tells me about being in a relationship or who I should be with or what type of person I should be with decide what I'm going to do. You're the one I'm feeling connected with. You're the one I want to go the distance with. I'm going to choose you, and I'm going to block out all this shit, and we're going to go. Like,
and even a step further than that, Denise, they didn't just block out the outside noise. They blocked out all of those they didn't meet each other and be like, man, I'm sorry about what happened. No, we ain't got time for all of that. We already know that was bullshit. Now we looking about forward. We moving forward together right now. They never even addressed what had happened the previous time that they separated from each other.
And get this, they were scared. They were like, we got to go out into the wilderness. We go on the other side of the wall. The only way we can be together is if we leave this entire life behind. And I love you so much. I don't even know what's on the other side of the wall, but as long as you're with me on the other side of the wall, that's all that matters.
That was the happy ending. That's how you know they made it. It's not so much whether or not they got over the wall, but the moment they decided that for the rest of our lives, we're going to go on together. We're on that level. From that point, the moment they grabbed each other's hand and made, that's when the episode ended. That was the happy ending right there.
That's their ride or die.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, 1,000 people simulated and however many rebelled.
Mm-hmm.
2.
Yeah, because it said 998 at the end, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it just goes to show you, like, in hearing you guys talk about it right now, like, what comes to my mind is how we have these false sense of securities with these systems that are in play to create who the fuck we are, as opposed to just being who the fuck we are and living every day for what that day is worth.
Yep.
Because I mean, the same can be said for, like, some of the notes I wrote down was pyramid schemes and multi-level media and religion. Like, these are some of the things I wrote down, and the constructs of how we just do what the system tells us to do, and we find comfortability in that, right? Because we're not thinking outside of the box. We're using groupthink tools. We're not thinking for ourselves. We're just doing, and we're so fucking scared to go outside of that because I don't know what that looks like. I'll just stay here and I'll stay suffocated and drowned and held hostage because I think there might be something better, or there might be something better. Like, my takeaway from the whole thing was to learn your lessons. Learn your lessons. And for every action, there's an equal reaction. Whether we like it or not, there's just gonna be an equal reaction for every action. I wasn't really sure what the ending meant, but now I think I get it now, hearing you guys kind of talk about processing that. Like, I think I get now, like, when it's over, it's just over.
Yeah.
It's just over.
I'm trying to remember what movie. It was one of the Austin Powers movies, but it's like, I think it was the fact that you didn't see what was going to happen next was kind of maybe a metaphor, if it's the right word, a metaphor for what they knew they were walking into. It doesn't matter. We don't know what's going to happen beyond this wall. What we know, all we know is what matters is what we know. And what we know is that we is the operative word here. We're going hand in hand against it, because it's not about, okay, this is a good time having you with me. No, we are going to endure all of it together. We're going to enjoy together. We're going to suffer together, go on together. That's the reward. Regardless, they can't take anything
going
from
into
us
the unknown
and that's
together.
what the computer was saying. Like, failure to comply can result to banishment. And I thought that was real interesting word that they use, because I think it's relevant to everyday society and so many people who try to fit in because they have a fear of banishment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's why a lot of people settle. You want to hurry up and
that's why people settle.
You want to hurry up and do that because you don't want to be banished. You don't want to be looked at as off or strange, or there must be something wrong with you because you don't check the boxes. And so it all goes back to this whole need for survival, and the way that society is set up now. It's like it plays into our animalistic like instincts that we had before, which is we've talked about this on here before about how you did need to be a part of the pack to survive. Like you did need certain things so you can make sure you could eat and had shelter and all of that. And a lot of what happens now is just playing into that old mindset where you absolutely had to kind of go along to get along, to survive, really. So yeah.
And now we live in a day and age to where we have a choice, more of a choice in things on multiple levels, not completely the freedom we all deserve, but we have more of a choice now, more of a say when it comes to preference, because preference is power. You know what I'm saying? And we're all walking into ours on new levels every single day, so it's going to be a factor.
All right, guys. So that was the recap. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was a great episode. Like I said, I was really glad that you picked that one. And I think for anybody who didn't get a chance to watch it, you should still go watch it. If you've listened to us at least talk about it, now you know what we're talking about. And we didn't really give it away per se, but see if you agree with us. See if you feel differently than us.
Something different out of it,
Yeah, because it was it literally is what's happening today with today's version of relationships. And then if you do want to get into the dystopian shit, what relationships are going to look like in 25 years, 50 years, 75 years?
Yeah.
Will there even be organic relationships? Is everybody going to be matched up with, like, it made me think about arranged marriages and how similar I felt like this was to arranged marriages, where it's like, okay, boom, y'all are just going to be stuck together with each other. You don't know each other. You don't even have a vibe with this person. You probably don't even love this person. You might not even like this person, but you're going to be with this person for a period of time. And it's just,
all right, nobody respond to that statement because we're trying to close up.
And it just made me think about all those different things. So it was a great
We're not about to go in for another 30 minutes. We're gonna close this episode off.
Do you have episode 2? What do you want to do for next week? You already know.
I have a few of them written down. I have 4 of them written down, but does anybody, before they're not written in stone, does anybody have a suggestion of any that they want to talk about? I think the one that you talked about, Denise, with the being able to see through your eyes, I think that's one of them I got on there, where it's the recorder in your eyes.
Yeah.
I think I saw that one too.
That could be interesting because that
I think white noise.
privacy.
Is it white noise or white Christmas? I think that's one of them I got written down too.
Mm-hmm.
What was another
San
one?
Junipero is one I got written down. That's another relationship one / afterlife type thing, but I might save that for a few weeks.
Wasn't there one that's basically based on social credit?
Oh, nosedive. Yes.
Yeah, that
we
was a
do
good
nosedive.
one.
We gotta
I
do
think,
nosedive.
That was, yeah.
From
Oh,
relationships into more like social,
I don't know
like
if we,
And
got
nosedive,
90
like
minutes of
social
conversation
credit.
out of it.
Social credit is happening. I mean, they're doing it over in China right now. So let's
That's
let's
one of
think
my
about that.
favorites. I just got to see where 90 minutes of conversation gonna come from with that. I have to
In
say.
nosedive.
Huh?
Well, so we'll
Yeah.
decide. We'll decide in the next couple of days what our next
But if
episode
you
is
have
going to be.
suggestions, let us know.
Yeah,
And if
yeah.
not, I'm open to everything. All I do is I just look to see, like, how much content can we pull out of this episode, and
Well, it's
something.
both.
yeah.
There's some
And
of
that
mine
takes
that's
the
my
memory one.
favorite that I just don't think is enough to pull out, like Black Museum. If you haven't watched Black Museum, that is in my top 5. That's a good one.
No, have not seen that
Which
one.
one's that one?
I think it's the episode right after Hanging the DJ.
No,
Black
'cause I
Museum,
watched what was
where
after.
the girl from Black Panther is on there.
I don't think that was right after Hanging
Oh,
DJ.
you know what was a good one? I don't know
But
how much content we
nonetheless.
could get from it, but the one where you actually are playing like Xbox or whatever, and you can actually be in the
See,
box.
and I hate that one, but it's a whole lot of content to pull out of that. That one, that's one I watched it one time and I never watched it again. I'm like, it messes with, thinking about it messes with my head, and I'm like, but that is one I actually thought about that. I said for conversation purposes, that would be a good one. But I hate that.
There's so much to unpack. There's so much to unpack.
It's a lot to unpack.
So then let's make a little list. Let's get a post going on Freethinkers on Facebook, and we'll get a little list going of episodes that people are interested in watching. We could take a little poll or whatever before
And to
we
everyone who commented, y'all make sure to give us your thoughts on the episodes as well that either y'all want to participate in talking about or just hear us talk about either one. I kind of there's a lot of interesting stuff, so we do want to hear from what y'all saying.
And y'all don't forget the folks that are supporting us in the comments. First of all, thank you so much. But y'all engage with each other in the comments too. Y'all make sure that y'all talk amongst each other. Because sometimes we do miss the comments or we don't get to throw them up on the screen, but we definitely appreciate you guys for supporting us and tapping them with us all night tonight.
That's it. Denise, you got anything else?
Yes, they're going to be so mad at me.
Uh-oh.
I got to ask this question. We don't have to answer it. We can just marinate on it. But the question is, what if things get so bad in the dating world because there's so many options that people just stop like procreating and really making choices to be together, and messes up the system so much that they have to put you in some bullshit as assimilation to get people to get together because there's a population situation going on, and
that's probable.
Where's
with the evolution of the sex dolls,
that sounds like a season 6 episode.
The realer the sex dolls get, the less we're gonna have a desire to need to go through what we go through in order to have sex. It'll be a microwave sex society. We have the simulation of the real thing. Either it could be a holodeck type thing on Star Trek where they put something, close to your brain and make you feel the same sensations, or they're gonna make these robots so real that it's it'll be close enough to the real thing that you ain't got to.
And eventually, Denise, they're not going to need women to have babies anymore. They already have a company called I think it's called Ectolab, where they're basically
that won't be necessary.
Yeah, so women are going to be obsolete here not pretty soon, but women being the vessel to grow life is going to be non-existent anymore. They won't need women anymore.
So, Joe, I wasn't referring to questions, but if you have any other last words,
I had
any shows coming up, anything you want to promote,
burning desires.
Two things popped in my mind. What Nikki just said reminded me on kind of the opposite side of this comic book. I think it was Judd Garrick wrote it, and they did one season of a show on it. It's a comic book called Why the Last Man, where this character wakes up. I don't know how he suddenly finds himself in this world where there's some disease that had become airborne and killed every living male.
We talked about this, Joe. We did a whole show on this.
Nice. So
yeah,
I was
Last Man Standing.
To see him.
Yep, Last Man Standing.
Why the Last Man Standing? Yeah. And I've been wanting to watch that and see how that played out. I thought about that, but the first thought that came to my mind, and there's no Black Mirror episode on it, but it was one of my favorite Twilight Zone episodes because it's based on a story by Richard Matheson. The story called Button, or The Box, I think it is. The original version is called Button Buttons. We have this couple, and they're doing all right. They could, things aren't great, but they're doing okay. And this guy comes to them with his box and a suitcase. He's like, okay, in this suitcase I have, I have this box I need to give you. I'd like to give y'all if y'all do me a favor. You can keep it or whatever. And I tell you what, every time you press this button on this inside this bubble on this box, you get $1 million. And he opens up the case and shows them this is the money and everything. Like, what do you mean $1 million? Every time you push this button, what's the catch? He's like, well, every time you push the button, somebody you don't know dies. And they're like, what?
Yeah, talk about that.
And like, no, for real, yeah. Every time, somebody gets $1 million. What? Yeah. It's nobody you know. We're all gonna die eventually, right? So he's like, that's crazy. So hey, I tell you what, this is a lot for you. So I'm just gonna leave the box. You don't have to leave the box. No. I'll leave the box. If it's not a problem, then don't touch it. But as soon as you press the button, I'll give you a call and I'll bring you your money. They get into an argument about it. They decide. They one of them caves in. I forget which one it is, but
you about to tell us the whole movie, Joe?
No, it's a short story. It's a short story, and I'm saying because you can't find it anywhere to even watch it anyway. So next thing you know, they get quiet about it. They decide we're not going to touch it. Husband goes to work. The wife's sitting there on her day off, frustrated, looking at it. She finally says, "Fuck it," opens it up, presses the button, and she just is panicked, and then she just takes a deep sigh. Okay, I didn't know him. She gets a call. Ma'am, this is Mrs. Johnson. I'm here with your husband. He was struck by the commuter train when he was trying to board it today. It was just a freak accident. He just fell, and she screams. And next thing you know, somebody calls, like, "Hey, we're calling you about your payment. We're going to bring you your money. My husband just died." "Yeah, we're aware. We know." "Well, you said it was nobody I don't. You said it would be anybody I know." And they're like, "Did you really know each other?" I mean, did you really know each other?
I think I saw that movie.
I've tried to find the short story. I've read the short story, and I've been trying to find the Twilight Zone episode online. I can't find it anywhere. I can't find it anywhere, but it's one of my favorite short stories.
Yeah.
And it's it feels like a good
I've heard
follow-up.
similar iterations of that story too.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, hopefully they'll come out with another season of Black Mirror. I don't know what's taking them so long, but they don't.
After the quarantine wrecked them. Everybody wanted them to do a season because everything was so crazy. They were like, nothing we could ever write could top this shit, and it just they just didn't do another episode. Maybe that Bandersnatch thing or whatever, but.
No, they
I think
did a
they're pretty
season
much
after
done.
that, the one with Miley Cyrus, which I like that one, and then they did the one.
Yeah, that was the very last
Snowfall.
one, and that was right before the
And that was the
pandemic.
Striking Viper ones. That was the last one too. Yeah, that was one of them too.
Mm-hmm. They tried to do it, but so much surreal shit has happened between the quarantine, between Trump and all the other stuff. You know what I'm saying? They were like, how
Man,
can we even
they
top
English. That shouldn't be bothering them like that. Trump shouldn't be bothering jolly
No.
old Great Britain. All right,
Yeah.
y'all. Thank y'all for y'all 2 hours and 15 minutes. It was a great conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It was. Thanks y'all for joining us, and thank you everybody for joining us and sharing the page. We'll see y'all next Tuesday.
Good night.
Bye, y'all.
Good night.
Peace.